Welcome to Classy Broadcast with Classy Broad members Callie Fox and Sycamore Treasy. Join us today for the second episode of Classy Broadcast, where we discuss the future of the podcast, our motivations for making it, our love of hip-hop, and just a bit of general silliness. Sycamore Treasy also has some very exciting news for us today. As always, thank you for listening and for giving us a space to voice our thoughts.
Hey, what's up, y'all? I am Nicholas Fletcher, aka Sycamore Treasy, and I am joined by my beautiful friend
Callie Fox, also known as Callie Fox.
Callie Fox, aka Callie Fox. And this is episode 2 of the Classy Broadcast, our new venture in life, the podcast that we're starting, where we're going to just talk about a little bit of anything and everything.
Hell yeah. We're really excited. We've actually had like a lot of really good response on the first episode. That was really fucking awesome. Yeah. For those of you who had a hard time hanging on through the uhs and whatnot, I'm getting better at editing, so that'll get better.
To show like the underbelly of everything is, I just did it. When you watch yourself back and listen, you'll drive yourself crazy realizing that we have those little filler words or filler gaps of conversation where it's I said like and then and uhs and oohs. So I just don't listen back to myself usually. I'm just like, well,
I was laughing because I was telling Treasy like, oh my god, I say like fucking a million times, and he's like, oh no, we do too. And then as I was editing, I was like, oh yeah.
So another podcast that I do. It's been a while, but we're gonna jump back into it at some point. But shout out my homie Jay Davis and our podcast, The Young Old Heads. But on that one, I learned, he pointed out to me, he's like, bro, you say like so many times. I thought about getting like a shot collar.
I think that's the ADHD in us. Like, just trying to. What was I saying? Shit.
Yeah, and we were talking upstairs about how I think a big part of it is we really want to articulate what we're saying. So we're searching for eloquent words and the proper like mannerisms and like things to say. Mm-hmm. So as we're like searching through our bag of vocabulary, we're like, oh yeah, that one works. And like, oh yeah, I like that. Yeah. So yeah, if you guys haven't already noticed, we are missing our third member currently. Shout out to
Jay Crook. He had to work tonight.
Yeah, he picked up a shift like a stupid piece of shit.
Yeah, motherfucker. And his love of money. Yeah. Just kidding. Actually, he should probably help us pay for the $10,000 we spent on music.
Yeah, get that money.
It's expensive to do art.
You're fucking not kidding. So that is the intro. So this episode, I think we just want to establish what direction we're going with the pod and just kind of let it be fluid and flow.
We have been asked already to do an episode about ADHD hacks without medication. Full transparency, I do take medication. It absolutely saved my life and made me feel a lot better about myself because it makes things easier. But before I started taking medication, I learned a lot of different hacks to figure out how to work through that, not feel like such a piece of shit.
Yeah. And I'm unmedicated ADHD, and so I have some value to add to that dialogue. So
I'm actually really excited about that episode. We have somebody that wants to do a mental health in general episode with us, and I was telling him, since we're doing the ADHD, like, here's what you can do about it kind of thing. And we wanted to talk about kind of what the struggles are of it and what makes it hard, the journey that we've had to take because of how hard that is.
Yeah, just what it looks like in general.
Absolutely.
Not as like condensed to what you see on TV of like, oh, squirrel, which is a part of it, which is a big part of it.
Yes, but there's so much deeper.
Layered. There's so much more.
We want to have inspiring people on here, people who have something to say, people who have something to show. We want to showcase Rock Springs and show people that there's a crazy amount of really talented artists.
Just our community and then the really cool people we rock with, and obviously Classy Broads, our rap group.
I like that. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, the Classy Broads. Our rap group, we are obviously musicians, but that doesn't mean we only want musicians on the pod, because we're not just musicians either. We have so many other interests and things that we dabble in, like art forms that we're invested into. So
Jesse was telling me that we conceptualized Classy Broad in 2020.
Damn.
Like 4 years, and it finally came to fruition.
We did, and I don't even remember who said the name, and we're like, fuck yeah. Like
I don't know, dude.
It was one of those situations where somebody had said it, and we're like, without hesitation, we're like, that's it.
I think we were listening to some like Classy Broad ass beats, and we were like, oh, that's some shit that like Classy Broad would be on, and we're like, damn, we're Classy Broads.
Yeah, we are the Classy Broads.
Oh yeah, and the boys wonder why like I'm so gung ho, like motherfucker, I'm putting everything I got into this because I believe in it. I believe in you guys believing in us. Like
shout out to you guys who have already showed your support and continue to do so, and hopefully will continue to do so. Shout out to you for being so gung-ho. Part of my ADHD is struggling with that. You've been really good at being persistent but gentle with Crook and I. You've been persistent but like gentle. Like I'm sure there's been times you want to be like, motherfuckers.
Dude.
Like I asked you for one fucking thing.
Dude, I was telling Jesse today, I was like, okay, let's see. I got that done, that. Oh, all that's left is for you to write your bio.
Yeah, literally, yeah. So, like, for instance, just again, some of the underbelly is Callie was like, hey, like, it'd be great to have bios for each artist that anybody who becomes a fan can look into and just kind of get a concise description of us as individuals. And me and Crook were like, bet. And it's been like a week. And she's like, where's the bio? Turns out a lot harder to write about yourself in that, like, third-person format. Yeah.
I think I spent a couple months working on my bio, but I just stole mine from Spotify.
Yeah, no, see, mine,
my Spotify.
Oh, so did you write it, though?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So
that's how I was like, wait a second.
Especially when you are somebody like me who struggles with ego. And I was trying to write it, and hey, don't sound like a pretentious asshole, but then also don't make you sound like you're just some dude, just like,
so I was putting it to Jesse like this, because he was like, well, what the fuck do you want me to say? And I was like, dude, okay, so imagine that you're a promoter and you want to look at this page and find out whether or not you should fuck with this person. What are you going to say to make that motherfucker fuck with you? And I was like, that's what it is. Like, you have to figure out how to hook them in. And I said, okay, so when you're watching TikTok, how long do you wait until you scroll if you don't like it? And he was like, well, it depends on the content. I said, okay, in general. He said, 3 seconds.
Same.
And I said, that is the average time.
I was going to say 3 seconds.
Yep. Yeah. That is the average time. And so I said, what are you going to do to hook those people's attention in 3 seconds?
3 seconds, like right away.
Isn't that wild?
If we want to rewrite my bio, I want to start off with like, he has pleased every woman he's and you're staring like, oh, damn. Who is this?
That's interesting.
Who is it? Yeah, I'm intrigued.
Hide your wife.
Yeah. Who is this guy? Every woman wants him. Every man wants to be him. Yeah.
Good Lord.
Boom. There's the new bio right there. That's it. We've had quite a few people reach out who have voiced an interest in being on an episode, varying from musicians to MMA fighters, a big variety of people.
People who just have interesting stories and are fucking inspirations.
And also cool things that are like really already connected to us. So there's already that like rapport and camaraderie. A lot of opportunity for really fun episodes.
Yes, absolutely. And I actually picked up some young artists who like haven't really put anything out yet. I haven't told you about this yet, but they're really excited to come on. And he was talking to me and he was like, man, editing music is so hard. And I was like, okay, so first of all, play with it, dude. Like the more you play with it, the more you're going to learn. Also, come on our podcast. Maybe we can talk about it. Maybe we can give you a few pointers. Because he was like, oh, I don't know. We haven't made anything good enough to put out yet. And I was like, dude, you gotta suck first.
Yeah, no, literally. I was about to say, if you dive in, if you think you're gonna sound how you want to sound on your first like multiple like not only songs but projects, like it's such a it is such a journey.
Jesse will, but that's because he's been fucking.
Yeah, no, and that's
how
true,
many
man.
damn years before he actually put an album out?
Yeah. I mean, exactly. But there's also motherfuckers who are just might just be good at shit. Like shout out to my dog Cyrus, but Cyrus is one of those dudes who. Yeah, day one. I was like, were you ever bad at rapping? And he straight up was pretty much like, no. Like, I was not.
He knows who he is.
Yeah, so, shout out to Cyrus. But yeah, I think that we have a good structure. We know where we're going with it. And you, Crook, and I hang out. We go off on some fucking tangents. We're goofy. We're weird. Then we'll literally dip into some deep, introspective, like heartfelt stuff. And then we'll fucking make a joke in the middle of it. So I think... also just finding that ability to just fall easily into that, like while the camera's on, because I mean,
Yeah,
for
it's kind
anybody,
of weird when a camera's pointed at you. Like,
yeah, it's kind of
when you're not
like
used
even
to it.
now, it's like, do I
think
look
that's
like,
why we
am I
kinda,
supposed
like,
to, am I supposed to look at you when we're talking? Do I look at the camera? So
I actually, when I was editing, I was like, man, like I barely ever looked at the camera. I just kind of like watched you.
yeah,
guys
no,
talk,
yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah. And then Crook watched the right corner of the
What
room.
was that? There was a crinkle behind us.
Oh shit, dude, go. I don't know. Maybe did the fucking flag fall down, or that you are not?
Mother is pleased.
I guess now we can kind of transition into some just talking about current events for us. So I don't know, depending on when you guys watch this pod, but Cowley's album, which was the centric theme of our previous podcast, episode 1, it drops on Friday.
Mm-hmm.
It is Wednesday for us, so it drops on Friday.
Yeah, I imagine if it's anything like last time, I'll have the episode out tomorrow. So then, as you're watching it,
It'll be the next
it'll
day.
be out tomorrow.
Actually, yeah, the album will be out Thursday at 10 p.m. So
oh yeah, apparently that's on. Some
people are
shit.
gonna people are gonna listen to this. I'm like, when the fuck's this album coming out? I don't know.
Really
I don't know what date it is even. Yeah. So yeah.
The cool thing about doing all this and like having your guys' support and like becoming very excited about it is I've learned so fucking much. I've learned a lot about social media, a lot about videos with the distributor that we usually use.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they have the show.co link. Come to find out, it's not been working for like fucking over half of the people.
Oh shit.
Yeah, it's some old bullshit. And so I found another one that actually has like the Amazon, the Deezer, the
Everything.
Apple, and the Spotify.
Okay. After doing the episode and getting my input and Crook's input and some really good positive responses on the podcast itself, your album comes out on Friday. How are you feeling?
I'm like really mixed about it. Had a lot of different responses. One person who has experienced suicide loss was watching the one where we were talking about be prepared to be immersed in the feeling, how like deep it kind of like actually hits you that way. And she was like, God, fuck, I really want to listen to your album, but like, I don't know if I'm ready.
No, that makes sense.
And I was like, dude, it's okay. I was like, it's here when and if you're ready to listen to it. And, you know, if you need help, like letting those emotions out, because it'll fucking bring them out of you, especially if you know.
Yeah, and I mean,
like.
and to be fair, anytime y'all can hit pause, like you can hit pause and come back to it and process. Like what's I guess
take care of your mental health first.
Yeah, you can. I would, from listening to it, I would say you can treat it episodically.
Yeah.
If somebody doesn't want to listen to it in one listen through, you could break it down. You know, listen.
A lot of people did that with that last podcast.
Yeah,
it was really cool to see the numbers. Like there was certain amount of unique viewers, an exponentially higher amount of views, which means that people were coming back to it.
Which
is really cool.
Which is good because whatever they heard the first time, they were hooked enough to be like, I got to go finish that. So yeah. So again, shout out to you guys, man.
I had a lot of people say like, hey, so like a lot of people on their podcast will just kind of talk to talk, but you guys actually were like engaging. And so somebody else was like, I was afraid that I wasn't going to be able to pay attention because I have a hard time with that, but before I knew it, it was over.
This is a long ep too.
Yeah.
And a long episode.
And a lot of people really liked that we had an educational side to it. Really enjoyed that we talked about like the deep, vulnerable things, which I would like to stress. Half of the reason why we wanted to do this. Again, like I've said to everyone, thank you guys for giving us this space to be able to do that.
Yeah, we were just talking upstairs prior to coming down here to record. We are trying to show as young adults that, I mean, are we young adults anymore? I'm going to say, I'm going to fucking run with it. As young adults, I'm going to say it with my chest.
With his gray and his beard.
As my young adult self, one of the things we really want to portray and be advocates for is healthy communication skills.
Yes.
That being said, being able to talk about the tough stuff and the confrontational stuff, but emphasis.
Being able to disagree.
Yeah,
healthily.
emphasis on the talk about it.
Yes.
Have somebody come on the podcast and maybe have a hot take and be like, oh, I totally disagree with that perspective, but tell me like why you have that perspective.
Right,
and then
it's not a fight, and we don't have to.
And then it can end with, hey, agree
to
disagree. Like I do see your side now, but I also, in my belief, just have a healthy way to go about that.
Absolutely.
Which I think more people need, is I think you need to be able to disagree and not fucking hate each other, which is the opposite of the direction of our country is going right now.
Oh Lord,
So,
yeah.
So it'd be nice to be able to, maybe even if just our listener base hears it and is like, that's cool, I'm going to implement that in my life. Like if I have a friend or a significant other or a coworker or a boss that I maybe have a level of anxiety coming to, because a big thing I always like to be able to control the nucleus and the dynamic of a conversation. I've learned a lot of times if I meet somebody who has a lot of animosity, frustration, and aggression, if I meet that with cool, calm, collect, they start being cool, calm, collect.
Oh, absolutely.
And the opposite effect, if like, and then if I start getting all hyphy and frustrated, they're gonna get hyphy and frustrated. So yeah, just being able to take the tone and just mold with it. And if that person's not willing to meet you at a balanced pace, exit the conversation. You ain't got to talk about it no
all right,
more.
well, thanks for coming on. But seems like the conversation is headed into a non-constructive.
Yeah.
Place,
or even just being like, hey, I think maybe we're getting a little hot right now. Let's
take a beat.
Yeah.
ADHD again. Back to the album and how I'm feeling about it. I have had a lot of people say like, oh man, I'm really excited to hear it. Like, especially after hearing you guys talk about it, especially a lot of survivors being like, thank you for helping me feel seen, because a lot of people think like, oh, if it's been so many years, it should be all gone now.
Yeah.
Everything should be fine now, and it's not, and they just don't get that. And so I already know that we're going to help people feel seen, and that is wonderful.
In an early listen, I say a very well articulated expression of that pain, which for somebody who's going through it, as hard as of a listen it is, we said this on the last ep, but I think it is going to be therapeutic for somebody to be like, damn, oh my God, they nailed it.
I told that person, actually, I am nervous because I know a lot of people are going to be like, wow, there's some really sensitive stuff in here. But as I neglected to mention last time, I think the avoidance of those like, ooh, that's private, like kind of things is part of what makes people not really understand it. They never get to see that deeper inside part of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because everybody's so afraid of privacy. I know my mom would be like, okay, if it's going to do something good, put it out there. Nobody,
and
I'm not here to
there's nothing private about your record, I will say, which it's very open book. It is very like look within, and like you said, it's not
it's not like I just put her shit out on Front Street. I definitely put mine out on Front Street.
That's what I'm saying, exactly. Like you put the whole dynamic of the relationship and just the circumstance dissected very well and honest. Shout out to you, dog.
Oh, thank
Such
you.
a dope album. Y'all. If you didn't watch the first episode, go back and watch that one, and then also go listen to the album, because it's a fucking dope album. And by the time this comes out, either it'll be like 12 hours before it comes out, or it'll be out.
I'm trying to figure out how to make it work, but I would like to see when we have artists come on, have them perform a track. But we have to figure out how to like line up the sound and everything. Yeah,
so you know what? Let's throw this out there. Being fully transparent, we are doing this, and primarily on the editing side of it is Callie doing this. She's very tenacious, so I have so much faith that you're going to figure all these things out. I lack in that area. Like, I'm very bad. Like, if it's not something I can just dive into and understand right away, I'm like, fuck it. I don't want to do it no more. Unless I'm really passionate about it. When it comes to technology, fuck it. If you guys know anything about that stuff, have any input, any insights, anything you want to see, if you're like, hey, this podcast I listen to does something like this, it'd be cool to see you implement that. Let us know, because it would be cool to have somebody come on here and perform. It would be cool to have the computer right here and pull up a clip.
A lot of the concepts that we've come up with for future episodes already, people have already suggested to us. Like, your guys' suggestions are gold. Yeah. Also, I want to say, like, to anybody who's like waiting to come on with us only doing it once a week, I promise nobody's forgetting about you. We're just kind of trying to like take it one guest at a time, kind of get our bearings too. Because like he said, like, we're jumping in feet first. I believe in that. All of my favorite creators are like, dude, just jump in.
Yeah, and
suck at it for a while until you figure it out.
100,000%. There's no reason not to have a level of transparency, as we don't need to come on here and act as if we aren't learning as we go. Perfect example for anybody who wants to start a pod or wants to, like you said, drop their music. Just do it, man. Like, there's no point in not. Even with the Young Old Head podcast, I have my experience there. But even there, Jay and I had editors and things like that.
That's nice.
Yeah, so it was nice to have.
I do enjoy editing.
But that's what.
To, like, keep
if you like, see, that's where I'm different. I hate editing. Yeah. Crook and I were talking about this the other day. back on that side of the creativity side of it. I love being creative when it comes to writing music. I love turning on a beat, coming up with a concept, writing bars, rapping it, and like being like, oh yeah, like I nailed it. I said it how I want to say it. Put me in the studio and record. I fucking hate recording. I'm miserable recording. And it's so ironic because that's the most important, like one of the most. It's like you got to get it on wax for people to hear. I fucking hate recording. I despise it.
See, and I'm different too. So for me, it's if you give me the right tools, I fucking love it. I'm so excited. I get really frustrated if I don't have the right tools. I was just telling Jesse, I was like, dude, just the other day, how long have I fucking been making music? Like 10 years? Like, not as long as you guys, but still a long time.
Yeah.
And I just found out that I can save a copy of the Logic file so I can play on the copy and fuck it up if I want and go back to the other
Like,
one.
are
And
you
not
mean
have
like
to
doing like
reset
a save as or save?
Yeah.
Oh shit.
You can save some. Well, it's literally a whole separate thing. So there's save as a copy.
I need to do that too.
I mean, dude.
So creators out there,
As
you
you go.
you get that, especially musicians. Maybe even painting, editing, like Photoshop, whatever it is. You have something and you're editing it, and you're like, okay, I like how it sounds, but I want to make it sound better. And 2 hours later, you're like, I fucking ruined it.
Yep.
Like,
Edit it
I wish
to
I could.
death.
Yeah, I wish I could just go back. Give me back my original file. Yeah, yeah. So.
Another thing I was telling one of the young guys I was talking to, is he's like, man, we had that whole song all recorded and like it was great, and then we had to like write a whole new one right the night before the show because his computer crashed. And I said, ooh, honey,
Hard drives.
lesson one, yeah,
Hard drives,
external
dog.
hard drive,
Yep.
backup, and if you can, back up your backup. It's heartbreaking. I remember I had a laptop.
I've had multiple artists have that stuff happen where they've been like, "Hey, I lost the decade of like music or things like that." That it's like, oh, yeah. I wish I would have been more consistent with that. You brought up how long Crook and I have been rapping. So for anybody doesn't know, he and I started rapping together in junior high. Still a young adult, just so everybody knows. I am a young adult,
Yeah.
but that was like, fuck. It's like over 15 years ago.
And he used to be goofy looking.
Yeah,
He aged like fine wine.
so-
He looks good.
Yeah, me and Crook one time we have a picture. See, that's why I wish we could fucking bring it up. I wish
Dude,
we
I'm
could bring it
telling
up.
you, I want to do an episode
Where we
about
can
like
bring
all
that
of
shit
our
up.
where we came from and everything.
Yeah,
too.
but it's a funny picture. But me and Crook back in the day, there was a picture of us standing next to each other, and somebody commented, "It was like y'all look like a number 10," and I was like,
Oh my god, I forgot about
yeah.
that.
It was like you look like, and I was like, man, fuck y'all. Because I'm fucking tall and lanky and just, me. And you're like, yeah.
You gotta be able to laugh at yourself.
Yeah, so y'all look like a number 10. Fuck you, whoever said that. That was not nice.
It is funny though.
I guess to move on to the next thing, I also have an album dropping October 11th.
All drama.
That's what, 2 weeks after your drop. So yeah, so it's all drama.
Yep.
Very different album. My concept for it is it's 11 tracks, and each track I tried to convey a different level of emotion. With it being all drama, I was thinking, back in the day, dramatics, theatrics, drama school, the drama masks. You see those pictures of the drama masks, the happy, sad, all the different emotions. And I tried to encapsulate those on those 11 tracks and just kind of work my way down.
I'm
and
super excited to like give that a listen and like tear it apart like we did. Well, tear it apart, break it down.
Like, this fucking
like
shit
we did
sucks.
mine.
We should tear this shit apart. Boo. Track 3
But
sucks.
I'm really excited about that. And that's the thing too, is we're gonna have episodes about albums, episodes about
just breaking stuff down. Because on this one of my favorite things that I will say, every project I put out, I usually have a specific thing I'm feeling or proud of. Maybe it might be a concept. Maybe I might have stepped up a level in production, and I'm excited for people to hear that. On this one, I think I actually checked off multiple boxes. I think production-wise, it's probably the cleanest I've ever. We are recording and engineering ourselves. So,
we have to wear all the hats.
I do go through producers for my instrumentals and my beats. When it comes to the recording and mastering and mixing and everything, I do that all on my end. I'm really proud of how this sounds. And then on a rapping level, I'm so proud of like my caliber that I'm rapping at with my bars, my metaphors, my double entendres. And then conceptually, I think there's really dope concepts in it. And then just vibe-wise, I think there's a lot of fun tracks on it. There's a lot of there's deep tracks on it that are like more introspective. So I think it's a pretty dope little and concise. It's a dope, concise project. So yeah.
Did you see the brightness, the little like light that went off in his eyes when he talked about like his progress? Like that's another thing that I really want to encapsulate on this show. Showcasing people enjoying what they do, enjoying their progress, and like talking about growth.
It's really cliche, but when people say they accomplish or do something they love and it's like a drug, it's fucking true.
For real.
It's so fucking true. I have so many isolated experiences where I vividly remember just because of like the endorphin rush I got, like walking off stage, or showed somebody a song and they like were floored by whatever that is. There's something other people who create. I hope you've experienced it. If you haven't, trust and believe, stick to it and you will. But there's nothing like it.
I remember like sitting down and writing an entire song, that feeling like I would almost get like sick from the dopamine that it gave me. Like later I'd be
almost
like,
that like like that crash from like
I don't feel good.
that crash from all the fucking the endorphins just firing off in your body. During the pandemic, so during COVID, when everything got shut down, being such a busy person who my whole life has very much been a go person, it was the first time in a long time that like legit I had to slow down and I had no choice. My wife and my kids and I weren't sick, so we just had to quarantine. And I recorded in 2 weeks, from scratch, in 2 weeks, my album Mixtape.
Oh my gosh, that was such a great time for creativity. That's when I did Human.
Yep, I did Mixtape in 2 weeks. And what I did is I would just, instead of sitting down and writing, putting it away and coming back and writing and finishing a song and then going to the studio and recording, I literally would go down to the computer, no concept. I'd open my beat folder of all the beats that I have leases and rights to, and I would just start clicking and listening, and I'm like, that's the one, and then I just record right there. I'd finish every day. And like you said, that was one that Mixtape came out. If I were to describe it being like, oh, I threw together an album in 2 weeks, I'd be like, ugh.
Right? Like
2 weeks.
That must
but
suck.
if you haven't heard my album Mixtape, it's probably one of my most elite level albums I've ever put out. Like I fucking, to this day, I think that album's like coming up on like 6 or 7 years old, and it's still one that people are like, that's my favorite project. I'm like,
Awesome.
I'm like the one that I just fucking threw together during the pandemic, but I didn't just throw it together.
Well, that just goes to show like how good it is when inspiration just hits and you run with it.
Oh yeah, and I did, and that's exactly what happened, because once I made one song that I was like, wait, this might be an album. The intention wasn't to make an album. The intention was just to record. And I made a song that I'm like, well, fuck, this is something. Like, this isn't a single. I'm in album mode. And I, like you said, I took it and run. And then once I'd finished one, I'm like, oh, well, now that I talked about this, that gives me an idea. Because now I want to talk about this. I fucking love it.
Hell yeah.
Even though I hate recording, I don't really hate recording, actually. I mean, I have a disdain for it, but...
Well, it's just the frustration of, like, when you want to get something out right now and you want it to be the way that it is in your head.
Exactly. Yeah.
And it's like, fuck, I have to learn how to make it the way it is in my head. You know, that's why I can't draw, because I don't have the patience.
Well, we've talked about this, the ADHD side of it, and the mental health aspect is I am a perfectionist, but to a unhealthy degree. I've gotten exceptionally better at it.
I've gotten way better with that too.
Yeah. But I was so bad that I would have a take that I would do exactly what my intention was. It would sound how I wanted it to sound. I'd kill the take. I'd be like, fuck, I hit every syllable right on the cut. I like my phonetics were like emphasized in the proper places, and everything came across like sonically. It sounds good, but you hear my tongue click.
Oh, yeah.
Literally, barely. Something, no human being is going to listen to the album like, did you hear his tongue click? Turn it off. You heard it. I heard his tongue. Turn it off. You know,
this is trash.
Yeah, nobody's going to do that. But I was the type that once I would recognize I heard like a tongue click, every time I listened back, that's all I would hear. And so then I would have to become this perfectionist, so that at every take, I'd be like, okay, make sure everything's all clean. I'm good to go. Exactly. Clear my throat, and then trying to get the takes. But now I'm just more realistic, that I'm like, yo, like, we are human beings.
When I was doing this most recent album, there was lines where like it just made me so fucking emotional. I couldn't say it without crying. At first I was like, fuck, I'm gonna have to re-record this later. And then I was like, dude, it's the feeling that you're trying to convey.
Literally, I was about to say, in the album, we didn't talk about this, but there's parts of the album where you are clearly crying as you're delivering your lines. And to me, I was like, "Fuck, nailed it." It's a sincere. Like, you're
Yeah,
sincerely
those are
crying.
real feelings.
Yeah,
Like
this
I
is sincere.
wasn't trying
Yeah,
to
you're
cry.
not. You're not
It
like where
just
you
happened.
sometimes where you hear a song where somebody's hitting you with the like, oh, they're
Some Kendrick
yeah,
shit.
yeah,
kinda,
yeah. No, that was my
yeah,
thought. Is
yeah.
like, yeah, Kendrick does that. Like, he has the ability to have that kind
Also,
of.
like, shout out. I feel like he paved the way for people to be able to like
Oh yeah,
put that kind
yeah,
of
yeah.
emotion in their shit.
And also just being very versatile. Like, shout out to
Mhm.
Kendrick that you have rappers who get on the track and they'll be like "Dup, dup, 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 dup," but and they'll have their style. And Kendrick will do that. He'll be like "Dup, dup, dup," and then he'll be like and you're just like,
Mhm.
okay, like you're just doing every all right, man. Like,
Well, I won't lie.
get
Sometimes some of the shit he does bothers me, but as an artist, that's one thing like I fucking think about a lot. You know, artists will try new things, and other people are like, I don't like them anymore, and I'm
Mhm.
like, well, I'm not a fan of what they did, but also as an artist, like I respect an artist's right to like fucking play.
artists
And
artists are put in a box, so it's so unfair.
yes,
Especially the people who have like broken into like the stratosphere, the people who've set such a high bar that fans have this unrealistic expectation that if they put out shit that sounds like their old shit, it's like, fuck, man, that sounds like your last album. Like, where's your
Mhm.
new? Like, I want to hear the new shit. So then you do your new shit, and they're like, what's this new shit you're doing? Like, I
uh-huh.
miss you. Yeah,
I
so
miss the old stuff.
yeah, so they're part of being
It's
an
that
artist.
classic Eminem syndrome.
Yeah,
Slim
yeah,
Shady.
yeah. Part of being an artist is just being like, hey, man, I can't appease everybody.
Mhm.
And you hear rappers who, from an outside perspective, it kind of sounds fucked up, but there's like rappers who are like, you want my old shit, go get my old album. Is like, yeah,
No,
yeah, yeah.
Totally,
If
no,
you
yeah.
you want my old shit, go listen to the old shit. Like,
On
growth,
my
the
last
process.
album, I had somebody. I want to preface this by being like, I still love this person, like absolutely, and their support means the absolute world to me, and they've been one of my biggest supporters forever.
Mhm.
But on my last album, they said, well, the melody or the harmonies just weren't as full as they used to be, like, and that's just my one thing about it. I didn't say this to them, but as I was thinking about it, I love that for you. This is where I'm at right now in my art. As much as I'm glad you consume my art and enjoy it, that's not why I make it.
Yeah.
It's just a nice side effect.
I make my music because I want to tell my story. I want to do my thing. I want to flex how I want to flex. Having a fan base is a nice byproduct of it. I do
Mhm.
enjoy that. But a good example of why that's not the most important thing is I'm over 15 years deep and I've not always had a fan base and I have not stopped. Like,
Mhm.
not having a fan base never stopped me back then.
No, hell no.
And now
Something
that
that he just said was foreshadowing, by the way. You don't remember it, but this is the ADHD. Later, he'll watch it back and he'll be like, "Oh yeah,
Oh,
okay, yeah, okay."
foreshadowing, I foreshadowed.
Come back and watch this episode again when you figure that out.
Whenever I figure it out.
It made me think about a story. Like, I don't know if do you remember Doc Philly?
Yes, I do remember Doc
Okay,
Philly. Yeah.
so Doc Philly is actually who got me into rapping.
I think because of Doc is how we met previously, wasn't it? I was with Doc and other people when I went and met you. I think we were at a gas station. I think it was like,
Yep.
yeah, we were at a gas
This is
station.
where the Burger King
Yeah,
used to be.
yeah,
in
and,
Texaco.
it
Yeah.
was the first time I'd met you, and I remember whoever you were dating was mad because I asked you to like, you're like, I'm a rapper. I'm like, I want to hear, and you're like, oh, I have like a CD.
Mhm.
But back again.
Well, and he showed me. I think it was Medkit Music.
Yeah, sure, yeah. And you
Yeah.
showed me some of your music, but that's how we met.
Back in the day, my shit ass ex boyfriend. You'd have to like really know the lore to know who the fuck I'm talking about. He sucked. He was the worst. He was rapping with Doc Philly. They were like, "Hey, you should get on this." And at that time, I was very okay, hip hop, cool. So I literally put on my like most like make fun of hip hop voice, and they were like, "Yo,
Oh, you fucking
that
killed
was so
it."
cool." Yeah, I met like some of the rappers around, and I was like, "Wow, you guys are such cool people."
Mhm.
And then I think I discovered Greaves, and I was like, "Damn, you can be like vulnerable in this
Yeah,
shit.
yeah.
Like you don't
Yeah.
have to be a tough motherfucker. Like, ooh, I'm down. I'm in." And that was the beginning of my. We'll talk more later, but like. That was my beginning of my absolute like head over heels love for hip hop.
Yeah, when all three of us are together, you, Crook, and I want to do a full episode dedicated to our stories and what got us started, and then how we ended up melding into like our relationships, and because it's a fucking cool story.
It really is.
A
It's
fucking,
funny how you were just like living it, and you're like,
Yeah.
"Oh, this is just life."
Yeah,
but
but
when
yeah,
you look back, it's really cool.
it's a cool story. But that being said, for me, I remember little white boy from Wyoming. You can imagine back in this era, this is we'll say this is probably mid 90s, late 90s. Yeah, we're fucking goddamn
Fucking old, bro.
young adults, Kelly. We're young adults, is what we are.
Kids.
Yeah,
No, I'm just kidding.
we're the young old heads. Shout out to Jay. I'm a young old head. Hip hop hadn't really broke ground here to a mainstream level. Of course, it exists, and we being in Wyoming. I do love my state. I love my city, but it is a little bit set back in time, even to this day. Like to this day, it's it's still pretty old school. Yeah. So, but even then, even more so, I remember never having particular specific like genre. Like the most I listened to was the Mortal Kombat soundtrack or the Pokemon soundtrack. I didn't have a favorite genre. If somebody's like, "What's your favorite music?" I didn't have an answer. If I could pretend karate fight to it, I was pretty in. That's all I needed. If I could vibe out in my living room and fight imaginary ninjas to it, I was in. Turns out hip hop is a great song to fight imaginary ninjas to. I remember us hanging out in my brother's room. One thing we used to do is he would play video games and I would watch him. I just watch him play. He was playing a video game and I was just watching, and he would always have his stereo on and just have music kind of ambiently playing in the background. My brother is a guy who's a fan of just all music. So he happened to have a specific album on that day. And I remember I heard the beat, and just right when the beat started, like, it just piqued my interest. So I started listening, and as the beat built up, I hear this rapper, and he's like microphone checker, swinging sword lecture, and he just going off. And I'm like, that sounds so dope. So I go up and I start paying attention to it, and it was the first time I ever had a genre of music that like grabbed me right away
say,
for
like,
whatever.
just reached in and grabbed your heart.
And I remember just my favorite thing right out the gate was the way, first off, the beat. I loved how the beat built up, the boom bap style of the beat, and then I loved the way the MC was lacing his words so effortlessly. So I asked my brother to borrow it, and it turns out the album was the Blackout album, and that is an album by the legendary Method Man and the legendary Redman. They, at the time, the Blackout was kind of also like a promotion for their movie How High.
Wow.
So the Blackout.
Holy fuck, How High? Jesus Christ.
So I listened to the Blackout album like front to back multiple times in every song. So that's when I was like, fuck, rap is dope. Like, this is cool. But even during that era, kind of conforming to like, unfortunately, the perspective of like my community and people around me was I was a white kid from Wyoming, so I could like rap, but being a rapper was not like really in the car. Yeah, exactly.
Like, yeah.
I'll get into details later at some point on our episode, but fortunately I found my way in from being a fan to being an MC and like taking it very seriously with the total intention of being like, no, I'm not doing this to be corny, or I'm not doing this to be cool. I'm doing this because I fucking love what these guys do.
Yep.
In correlation with the fact that I have an album dropping on October 11th.
It's fucking cool news.
I recently locked in 2 separate songs. One is called No Breaks, and it's me featuring Redman. One is called Don't Be Lying, and it's me featuring Shaheem and Method Man.
Can you imagine like telling like your young self that?
That I have.
You'd be
Yeah.
like,
Yeah, no, literally, yeah. Because
Like
I'm not kidding. Redman and Method Man, always forever in my top 5. When it comes to the art form of hip hop, there's no better example of like hip hop artists than those gentlemen. Like
we
these
just
guys.
recently had a discussion about like the most influential 12 albums
Yeah.
for us.
Yeah. So
and
yeah,
that was like at the tippy top.
So the Blackout album was so influential to me, and then those guys independently. Anytime people say, "What is your dream collab?" My entire career, Method Man was always the first person, because I love Redman as well, and to me, it's one of those things where it's such a hard battle. Method Man is arguably my favorite rapper of all time. I just love Method Man. If you would have told me at any point in my life that I was going to have a collab with Method Man, I don't even know how I would have responded. Like I'd probably just shit, barf, shit my pants, and then do a backflip. And I don't know what I would do. I would barf and shit my pants and backflip all simultaneously. All at the same time.
God damn it.
Some collabs coming out with Redman and Method Man and Shaheem. Like, shout out to Shaheem, is Wu-Tang affiliated rapper. So, I mean, that alone, Wu-Tang Clan is fucking legendary. I mean, it's like blasphemy to not fuck with Wu-Tang in the hip hop world. Like, you know, like I do have that on the horizon as well. So I'm very much looking forward to releasing that and seeing what people think, because I really think I did my thing on those songs. I'm very proud of
Hell
those
yeah.
songs. Yeah.
Again, ADHD. The whole reason I brought up Doc Philly, not to overshadow. I'm
Doc
very
Philly. No,
excited for
I'm
you.
no, I'm good, because if I keep talking about it, I'll never stop talking about it. So
You're
yeah,
like,
yeah.
So anyways, the reason why I brought up Doc Philly was because once I really got into it with them, he would record it, and we were working on like fucking Audacity, dude, on a laptop.
I used to
back then.
fuck with Sony Acid.
I'd be like, okay, play it back, and he'd be like, no, hold up, you don't get to hear no garbage. And he would like edit it real quick and like put some engineering shit on it, because like there's nothing more like, if you don't know anything about editing tracks, you think, oh, you just record it and it just sounds like that. It doesn't. It goes so much engineering work
It
goes
does.
into
And
it.
I mean, and once you start recording, you can have presets. So like when I record, I will go to my preset and I'll edit from there. But like you said, if I just recorded on a flat track, no fucking equalization, no compression, anything like that,
It
it
sound like
literally
dog
it
shit.
sounds like you're rapping into a sock.
It doesn't
Like,
matter
just,
how good your mic is. And
Yeah.
in fact, I feel like the better your mic is, like the more it sounds like
Yeah,
that. Because
yeah,
like
so-
they say even with like cameras, you want the flat effect film so that you can like color correct.
Yeah,
it
exactly.
this and that
Yeah,
the
and
other,
I
like-
think a good way for people to look at it is think about something, a viral moment happens, like the Hawk Tua thing. We'll give that an example. Hawk Tua. So Hawk Tua happened, and people took her sound clip of her outside on the street talking into a microphone with other people around. They isolated her saying Hawk Tua and did their thing. And there's so many songs out there
Really?
with her is
I
like
missed that whole thing. Like,
yeah, with her is like the doing, and like it sounds fucking good. Like they've made techno songs out of it, like the Hot Tua, spit on that thing, and like and like it just sounds good. Because like, yo, engineers, if you don't appreciate the art form of an engineer and somebody who can master a track like balanced well,
Oh, yeah.
then
that's fucking work.
yo,
dude.
my God, yeah. I think maybe that might be one of the naive assumptions of somebody getting into music right out the gate. If you don't go to a studio and have an engineer record your song the first time and even just make your voice sound crisp and clean and like not under the beat, sit on top of the beat, all these different things, if you just do it by yourself and you don't know what you're doing, you're probably going to feel discouraged.
Yeah, well, and that's what I'm saying is like there's nothing like that, like not knowing that it needs to be engineered and not hearing it engineered to discourage a young
Yeah.
rapper. A lot of people have complicated feelings about Doc Philly, and all that shit aside, like I don't give a fuck. Feel how you want to feel
Yeah,
about
on
the
my
man.
end, I've never had a grievance with the man. Like me personally.
I've heard a lot of bullshit.
Yeah,
but
me personally,
I don't know.
I never had a
It wasn't
grievance with him.
me. I honestly attribute a lot of it to him because like he would be like, you ain't hearing no garbage, and he would engineer it.
And I'm
play it
not
back
gonna
for
lie,
me.
Doc was dope.
Yeah.
Dude could rap.
Oh yeah, he had the like swagger. Back then I was working at McDonald's and I would be like writing lyrics on a fucking kids meal bag and I would bring it back into the studio and
So
he's like,
fucking
"You see
hip-hop.
that? That's dedication."
That's
like
fucking-
and he like bigged me up, dude, and he made me
And
feel
you'd be
like
hell
fucking
yeah.
yeah, I'm good, you know,
Fuck
even when I
yeah.
sucked.
If you try to do it by yourself and feel discouraged, don't. I want to establish that because we
Keep
live.
trying and also
well,
like, damn, there's so much on the internet.
yeah,
you
yeah,
can look that
exactly.
shit
That was
up.
my point. The resources in today's era, especially if you just is a rapper, say as a rapper, all you need to get is your vocals. It is much more cost effective and user friendly than it's ever been. Like,
Oh, yeah.
you know, to have
Well-
a decent studio setup where like I'll give an example. I don't know if they want me to tell the story with them like with their identity being revealed, so I won't say who it is. But I have a friend of mine who I did a recent collaboration with, and when they sent me their verse, sent it to me and was like, "Hey, let me know." They sent me like the reference track and then the raw vocal file for me to do my thing to. When he's like, send it to me, he was like, "Hey, let me know if that works." I had to record it in the cab of my truck because he's a truck driver
What?
on like his MacBook.
Damn,
and he was
bro.
like, yeah, and there was like, and it sounded so fucking clean. And then when I
Wow,
added my
yeah.
studio magic to it, you would never, the dude recorded it, worked for the night in his truck, and even was like, "Hey man, like there was some noise in the background that I tried to filter out, this and that." fucking sounds beautiful.
I remember
beautiful.
working so hard to like build studios, and we can get into like the studios that we built back
back
then
in the day.
later, because that's
Well,
really
and
fun
that's
to
another
talk
thing
about.
is we'll talk about like our progression, like not only as rappers, but on what we were rapping on.
Oh,
We've
yeah, dude.
essentially went
Oh,
from
yeah.
rap like caveman. Like I used to like set 2 sticks next to each other and rap. You know?
Just literally in my bedroom, I have a microphone on my desk, and it's just boom. I don't have no treatment, nothing. Like I just fucking engineer that.
I found out the last 2 albums, I love recording sitting down.
I
love to sit down and record, man. I don't gotta.
There's
I don't
a
gotta
time
stand.
and a place for standing. But
No, I agreed. But if I can sit down for the song, if I don't have to get that hyphy, I'll fucking sit down and just swag my way through it. Yeah.
Oh, we're old. We gotta sit down to rap.
We are young adults. First off, I don't know if you figured that out yet, but
I wouldn't start out sitting and rapping though.
Yeah,
Because
no.
you need to learn how to like.
Yeah,
Control
we're
your
talking about
diaphragm.
we are talking about old head shit at this point. Okay, yeah, I can sit down and rap because I've recorded literally like 1,000 songs, so I know how to control my diaphragm and my
We've paid our dues, young man.
So young adults, us young adults know what we're doing.
We started with just kind of the concept today of like talking about where we want the podcast to go, and I was like kind of worried. I was like, ooh, what if the conversation like sputters out? And honestly, this whole time I've been like, yes,
No,
like I'm so excited to talk about this.
I agree, and also because we were like, okay, the last episode was pretty long for being a brand new thing. Not saying that not saying down the road that we couldn't like make 2-hour podcasts a normal thing, because a lot of people like listening for that long. But starting off, we were like, 30 minutes is like a healthy amount of time, like a healthy amount of time for like a pod ep. And we were like, we can record more and condense it down. And I definitely feel like we've recorded for a substantial longer time.
I'm gonna be honest, like I forgot to look.
Yeah, me either.
I
I
have
don't
no
even know at
fucking
this
idea
point.
how
So
long we've been-
now we don't know how long this episode will be, but if we get good content, we're gonna put it out there. And
Oh, yeah. Dude, I'm really excited though to like especially talk about like where we came from, all the silly shit we used to do, like the shows that we've done together.
Oh,
the
my
people
fucking
we've
God.
opened for. Like,
Yeah.
how is our story so fucking
My-
cool and we're
my-
just regular
mine
ass
and-
people?
mine and Crook's first show ever, and not only that, but it was the first hip hop show in Rock Springs, Wyoming history. The first hip hop show was ever put on here. And if I'm wrong, if somebody else out there did a hip hop show in Rock Springs at some point, I have no problems with you correcting me. But as far as I know, it was the first hip hop show ever put on in our town.
That is
And
fucking cool.
the story behind
That's
it,
history.
not only that, but the story behind it, fucking, it's
Ooh, I'm excited to hear
the
that.
story
'cause
behind
I
it.
don't think I even
You have
really know
never heard that?
one. I
Oh
don't
yeah,
think
that's
so.
oh yeah. So what'll be cool is me and Crook will just tell that on an episode where me and him will just kind of go back and forth and tell. But yeah,
Fuck
that
yeah.
story, how that came to fruition, what took place. Oh fuck, I'll never forget. I get all excited talking about that shit. Yeah, so,
It's been a journey. Dude.
it has, it really has. And I think this would be a fine close off point.
Yeah.
If you've made it this far, you guys probably have a decent idea of what we want to do on this podcast, and the answer to that is a little bit of everything. Like if that's
Well,
not
and
clear.
hopefully you guys are as excited about it as us. If you want to ask us any questions, give us any suggestions.
yeah.
At some point, I would like to get a few episodes in first, but we can like start gathering them. So many lists to do with the podcast. Don't even trip on the secretary. All the
Yeah,
things. Okay.
you're wearing a lot of hats on this project. Yeah.
I really enjoy it though.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
like, oh, it turns out I love being I'm a very good secretary.
Yeah.
If you know New Girl, you know that reference.
I know you've made so many New Girl references that I've never seen it.
Fucking love New Girl.
I've never seen
It's
it.
the best goddamn show ever.
You and now one of my staff at work.
Oh.
She was doing a quiz and she was naming people in the office what character they were. And when she was doing it, like she was like, "You're a whoever it was," and I'm like, "No idea."
No idea. Don't know what you're talking about.
And she's like, "Watch the show, you'll get it." And I'm
Yeah.
like, "Okay."
I digress to some point. Yeah, ADHD. Dude, that reminds me like
ADHD.
one time I was like cleaning my car and I was like I made up like a song like my ADHD fucking sucks, my car is disgusting or some
Yeah.
shit. Like I don't fucking remember. That's one of the fun parts about ADHD. Some of the parts are fun.
My little bops. Well, I can't remember the song I was singing last podcast. When we were getting ready to set up, I started freestyling on the mic.
I don't know.
You don't remember?
Uh-uh.
I remember what I was talking about, but I'm
See,
gonna.
ADHD gonna- Oh, we're gonna gather all your questions. even if they start now and it's a month or two
Yeah.
in ahead.
Yeah.
And we're gonna do a Q&A episode because it's gonna be really fun.
Up in the comment section, whatever you're listening on. If this is a clip on TikTok, if this is you're listening from YouTube, if you're on Spotify, we're easy to find on social media. You can reach out to the Classy Broads like just main page, or you can reach out to any of us individually. We will write down the questions and we'll do a Q&A thing. And I think the questions, we can open it to like whatever you want to know about. It can be like the serious, like hot takes, heartfelt stuff. It can be something silly. It can be funny. It can be goofy. It can be hypotheticals. Ask us stuff. Once we start riffing.
Like if you're watching on TikTok, unfortunately, we're not big enough of a page yet because we started like fucking 2 days ago right now, which like, thanks y'all for the support. It's like building really fast.
Yeah, the TikTok page is getting some traction.
But you have to hit a certain amount of like followers and plays and shit before you can have a link in your bio.
Yeah.
But eventually we'll get the link tree in there and you can fucking find us anywhere.
All right. Well, I think that wraps up episode 2 of the Classy Broadcast.
Also, we have a lot of really cool merch coming.
Merch is on the way. You're going to see every episode. We're probably going to have different backdrops while we're figuring out the aesthetic of everything. Who knows? With that being said, I'll sign out by saying thank you to the supporters so far. Both our albums, Right on the Horizon. This one's fucking, by the time you hear this podcast,
Today
it's
or
probably
tomorrow
it's gonna
by
be
now,
out. Yeah, so that'll be Sycamore Treasy signing out.
Callie Fox, peace.
Peace out, y'all.
Oh, Jay Kirk wishes he could be here and says goodbye as well.
Fuck Jesse. Taking a second shift, dude.
He said, fuck bitches, get money. We's bitches.
I actually did say fuck bitches, get money.
No way.
Did you not see that?
Oh,
he made a fucking post today, and I said, fuck bitches, get money. On this post. So, all right, take it back. Fuck bitches, get money.
Oh, you should see our fucking group text. It's wild.
Oh, it's ridiculous.
Thanks, y'all, though. Peace.
Bye.
Oh,
You don't sound like a young adult.
I don't feel like a young adult.
Thanks again for joining us for our second ever episode of Classy Broadcast. Check the information section on this video for links to all of our social media outlets and a link to pre-save What You Leave Behind, releasing September 27th on 4 different streaming outlets. Don't forget to leave any questions that you have in the comments so we can do a question and answer video in the future. And if you would like to hear us talk about something specific, don't be afraid to make a suggestion. Join us in future episodes for more engaging topics and intriguing guests. And as always, plenty of laughter, tears, and hip-hop. If you would like to be a guest on Classy Broadcast, leave a comment and we'll contact you about future episodes. Join us next time for more exciting Classy Broad news. Thanks for joining in. See you next time.